Have you ever really thought about what happens to a fallen leaf or an old root? I mean, it doesn't just vanish. Right under our feet, there's this incredible transformation happening all the time. It's like a kind of natural alchemy, turning death back into life. So let's dive into this hidden world and really uncover the secrets of how living soil is made.
And honestly, the best way to picture this isn't as chaos, but as a performance. It's a perfectly coordinated biological orchestra with millions and millions of tiny players all working together. Their symphony takes dead organic matter and masterfully recomposes it into the building blocks for brand new life. And the final masterpiece of this whole performance, it's a substance called humus. And this is absolutely crucial. Humus is the goal. It's that rich, dark, stable stuff that gives healthy soil its beautiful color and structure. You can think of it as the concentrated essence of fertility, the pure gold that comes from this whole alchemy of decay. But to get this gold, the conditions have to be just right.
So how does this orchestra actually work? What are the rules of the game? Well, it all starts with the menu. The quality of the raw materials. All that dead plant and animal matter, it determines everything. And it turns out the microbes running the show are, well, surprisingly picky eaters.
The key to understanding this entire process really comes down to one thing: the carbon-to-nitrogen ratio, or the C/N ratio. It is the single most important factor. See, microbes, just like us, they need a balanced diet. They need carbon for energy. That's their fuel. And they need nitrogen to build their tiny bodies and proteins. And the ratio between these two elements, it dictates the speed and the success of the whole shebang.
Let's think of it this way. On one hand, you've got microbial fast food like mung beans. It has a low C/N ratio, so microbes just tear through this stuff, and in the process, they rapidly release nutrients back into the soil. But on the other hand, you've got a tough steak like rice straw with a really high C/N ratio. It's so low in nitrogen that microbes actually have to pull nitrogen from the soil around them just to break it down, and that temporarily locks up those nutrients.
But a balanced diet isn't the only challenge on the menu. There's also this other thing: lignin. Lignin is the tough, complex stuff that makes plants woody and strong. For most microbes, trying to break down lignin is like trying to chew through armor. It takes a very special set of tools that only certain organisms have.
And that brings us to the two main crews that are doing all this hard work. You can think of them as two totally distinct teams with completely different strategies for getting the job done. We've got Team Fungi, and we've got Team Bacteria.
So let's break down their playbooks. Team Fungi, they're the builders. They are the specialists with the right enzymes to break down that tough lignin we just talked about. They work slow and steady, building these vast networks and locking carbon away for the long term. Team Bacteria, on the other hand, they're the recyclers. They prefer the fast food, all those simple sugars and proteins. They work fast and furious, creating these quick bursts of available nutrients, which is exactly why they tend to dominate in heavily tilled soils.
And because of these totally different roles, the ratio of fungi to bacteria in the soil is actually a really powerful indicator of its health. A soil that's dominated by fungi, with a ratio over 1.5, is a much more stable, resilient system. It's just plain better at storing carbon, holding onto water, and retaining those valuable nutrients.
Okay. And this right here brings us to the core secret of this whole process. It's not just about recycling nutrients. The real magic, the true alchemy of the soil, is its ability to take carbon from all that decaying matter and lock it away securely, preventing it from escaping back into the atmosphere for decades or even centuries.
This incredible process is called stabilization. It's the mechanism that turns all that temporary organic matter into permanent soil wealth. It's how the soil builds its long-term savings account of carbon, creating that precious humus we were talking about at the very beginning.
So how does the soil build this amazing carbon vault? Well, it uses a brilliant two-step strategy. First, physical protection. Tiny bits of organic matter get tucked away inside these little soil clumps called microaggregates. It basically shields them from hungry microbes and oxygen. And second, chemical protection. The organic matter forms these incredibly strong chemical bonds with clay particles, essentially gluing itself to the minerals permanently. And this is why not all soils are created equal when it comes to storing carbon. You see, clay particles have a massive surface area, creating way more opportunities for that chemical gluing to happen. This makes clay-rich soils absolute carbon super savers, capable of storing 2 to 3 times more stable carbon than sandy soils can. Okay, so knowing all of this about the C/N ratios and fungi and stabilization,
how can we actually use this knowledge? I mean, how can we actively help rebuild the soil's bank account instead of constantly making withdrawals from it?
Well, the science points to 3 really clear strategies. First, using cover crops to protect the soil surface and feed it with all those carbon-rich roots. Second, stop tilling the soil. Plowing literally breaks open those protective microaggregates we talked about, releasing stored carbon as CO2. No-till keeps the vault locked shut. And third, adding things like finished compost and biochar. This doesn't just add nutrients, it introduces a dose of stable, permanent carbon that resists decay.
But why go to all this trouble? Why work so hard to rebuild soil organic matter? It goes so far beyond just growing healthy plants. In a changing climate, the crucial point, the word that matters most, is resilience. The ability of our land to withstand shocks like drought and floods. And just consider this one staggering fact. For every single 1% increase in soil organic carbon, that soil can hold an additional 150,000 liters of water per hectare. Think about that. That is a massive buffer against drought. It turns our soils into giant sponges that can sustain life, even when the rains don't come.
Ultimately, the health of our soil is this invisible link to the health of our entire society. It's not just dirt, it's a living bank account that underpins our food, our water, and our climate stability. And that really leaves us with a critical question to think about. In the way we manage our land, are we making deposits or are we making withdrawals?